Today, I'm at Les Trois Pignons in Cheticamp, Nova Scotia, beautiful Cheticamp, Nova Scotia, and I'm speaking to Jacqueline. Now, before we start, the drive up here was, how can I put this, windy?
Yes.
Now, I understand you have these traditional winds that come to Cheticamp, and the French name is surette.
Yeah, Suat.
And could you tell me about the winds and what surette means in English?
Suat is southeast. Starts at 100 kilometers, and they come from those mountains. It's the way the mountains are made, and they come down the mountains. And we used to get them in the fall or spring, but now it's year-round. And usually they start about 100 kilometer wind, but we had lots over 200 kilometers. And last night they said they clocked 150. So it was windy, yeah, but we're used to it. We're tough.
And I understand that the school was canceled because of it.
Yeah, they said now if it's over 120 kilometers, they cancel the school. You know, even though there's nothing on the ground, flying things or doors and those little kids, so that's why the kids stay home. Yeah.
I wonder how many kids are out there praying for the wind.
Oh, they pray all the time, so there'll be no school next morning, and I'm sure they were happy this morning.
Now, perhaps you can tell me a little bit about Les Trois Pignons, how it came about, what visitors can come to expect when they visit here?
Yeah, it was opened in 1983. We started with Marguerite Gana's collection, and then we added the hooked rugs. So we're a little bit of everything, yeah, here.
So all these would have been donated by locals?
Yes, 90% of the antiques we have here was donated by that Marguerite Gana. She passed away in 1983. She was 93 years old. But she had started collecting when she was just a young girl, so she had collected all her life. So before she went in an old folks' home, she donated her whole collection to the society, and that's what we have here.
Well, looking around, she must have had an awful big house.
No, she had a small, tiny house on Cheticamp Island, and it was cram-packed inside, and there was even things outside.
And were people giving her these things, or was she buying them?
Oh, she wouldn't buy them, no.
She wouldn't buy them?
No. Well, you know, back then, old stuff was taking up dust and taking up place. So they would give it to her, and of course she accepted anything. But she had lots of great stuff too, yeah.
I'm noticing things like there's an old phonograph there,
Yeah.
there's a dining room table and things like that. And she had all this in a little wee house?
A little wee house on Cheticamp Island, yeah.
Oh, that's something. She sounds like a remarkable woman.
She was. She was really one of a kind, yeah, really unique. And people knew that because on the island we have the beach and the campground. So lots of people would go on the island for that, but she was always outside. So they would stop and talk to her. And oh, she was quite the character. She was known all over.
Say, so how did she get it to the island?
People would bring it because she didn't have a car. So they would bring it to her, and she would accept anything.
Well, that's one of the things over the course of these seasons when we're going to these museums throughout Nova Scotia. What's striking to me is how generous the local people are in terms of donating things.
Yeah, and they are. Yeah, even now when lots of people have things they don't want to keep, they'll come here and ask if we want it before they give it to somebody else. Yeah, so we always have things coming in.
Well, this is a good thing because all this history is going to be saved and preserved for future generations.
Yes, yes. And, you know, we have a museum, but we have panels on our history. People come here for the museum, the antiques, but we have lots of questions on our history, our Acadian history, and, of course, the hooked rugs that we have here also.
Well, when was Cheticamp founded?
It was founded in 1785, so about 30 years after we had been deported. And it was founded by 14 original families.
And of course, at that point, it would have been very isolated, so it was a very insular community, right?
Yes, yeah, and that's why we kept our French so good. Yeah, we have our own dialect, our own food, everything. Everything is different, yeah. And I always say if you work here in the museum, you have 3 languages. You speak whatever English you have. You have your Acadian French, but that you would only speak among yourself. And when tourists come in, you have your book French.
Now, we're talking about language. Right? This is a very francophone community.
Oh, yes, yeah. I'd say probably 75% are French-speaking. If you're from Cheticamp, you're totally bilingual.
Now, I'm looking around, and on a personal level, what would be some of these artifacts that strike you?
There's so many of them, my God. There's a story to every piece, as it seems. And with tourists, we don't have time. to talk about each pieces. Every piece has a little bit of history, and there is a story behind each pieces.
Now, I'm looking around and I'm seeing all these different types of rugs. Can you tell me a little bit about these rugs?
Yeah, first they were made for their own use because, of course, you know, houses were cold and drafty and they wanted something warm on their feet, but then people from outside wanted to buy them. So everybody were making rugs because they needed the extra money.
So is this something that's being passed on generation to generation?
It was, not anymore. It's something that takes too much time and patience, and we don't make that much money in a piece. Before they didn't have a choice because they needed the money, and now people are too busy.
Yeah, slow feet don't eat, right?
That's it. So everybody were hooking rugs. Everybody were sitting at the frame.
Well, it's a pity that something like this, you know, would vanish.
Yeah, but it's still, there's something that went on this winter. There's a lady who got rugs together for a show, an exposition. And she said there was over 50. And really, I didn't think there was that many still hooking. So, you know, it's not as it was one time. 20 years ago when I started here, we used to see there was about 100. And now there's only 50, but really I didn't think there was that many still hooking rugs.
I hope that this skill doesn't disappear. Is there any programs that they're teaching children so that they can continue this?
Yeah. A couple of years ago, there was a lady who used to give a course. She retired and she started going at the school and having classes here at the museum. And really, there's a couple of kids. There's always a couple of kids wanting to take that course. And I think there might be somebody showing you this afternoon just to see how it is and how you do it.
Well, I'd love to have a try at it,
Yes.
but old hands, I don't know how I'm
Oh,
gonna do.
no, that's no excuse. Anybody can hook a rug.
So you say.
Yes, I'm sure.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I can't wait to give it a try. I'm here with Betty Ann Cormier at the Les Trois Pignons Museum here in Cheticamp, and you're going to show me how to hook a rug. Mm-hmm. Now, tell me how you got involved with this and how long you've been doing it.
I can proudly say that I am a fourth-generation Cheticamp style rug hooker. I started like many little girls would have at that time, across my mother. Mom would have been sitting where you're sitting. I would have been sitting across her and chit-chatting away about anything and everything, trying to hook, missing some of the holes, and Mama telling me to start over again and start over. And I did that for 6 years. I was 12 years when she told me, now you're ready to sell at local gift shop. So that's what I did.
So this would be something very social. You would talk to each other as you were doing this?
Mm-hmm. In the older days, when Miss Lillian came in the 1920s, when there were larger rugs that were commissioned, there would be 8, 10 women working on the larger rugs. You know, the rug industry started as, like a lot of our great-grandmothers, it was to warm up our homes. And then it went into the cottage industry with Miss Lillian Burke. And in time, I believe it has become more of an art form. And that's where the Cheticamp ladies that now, since the 1940s, 50s, are doing this more in isolation. There's less of a social. So they're doing all in their own individual homes. In the 1960s and 70s, when I started, there were several hundreds. Nowadays, the numbers have diminished quite a bit.
And you're involved with some programs with this?
Yes. So I have been away quite a long time. We moved in 2000 in New Brunswick. And I retired back home in 2020. We know what happened in 2020. 2 years of being at home and very little contact with anyone. And I did a lot of rug hooking, of course. last year, I started back into communicating with different local rug hookers because I was being told that there were so few of us. And I felt there was more than what people were telling me. People were going down as low as 12 people rug hooking. And I thought I knew more than that. So I discovered there were still 57 left. So that's when I started to say, now is the time. We have to do something because it is an endangered craft.
Well, I would see that it wouldn't be a lot of money because it's extremely labor intensive. What price would you charge just to make it economically feasible?
Mom and I hooked a rug last year as an example. And I purposely took down all the minutes, the hours we spent every layboat. And it was a 2.5 by 4 rug. And it took us 3 pounds of wool. It took us 257 hours to hook. When everything was calculated and what we sold it for, minus the commission that the gift shop took, we were paid $5.30 an hour.
Well, that's going to be hard to do as a job attraction.
Yeah.
Can make $5
So it's
an hour.
it's a matter of loving, of a passion, of creating, you know.
Now, before you try to show me how to do this, perhaps you could tell me a little bit about the programs that you're doing to continue this craft into the future.
Okay, so I'm not alone. As I said, there's 57 of us. So for me, it was important to consult with the others. What were they willing to do to help me to revitalize this industry? We are going to create something like a guild, but it's going to be a weekly meeting of rug hookers because remember, for years, rug hookers have been working in isolation. And we want to get people together, and people want that. They've suggested that I go at the school, and I've set up 3 frames, and the young children there are loving it. At lunchtime, they're there, I'm there, I show them, and away they go. And also, I'm providing 2 courses a week to local and tourists who want to learn rug hooking. I can't wait to show you how to.
Oh, I know I've got these pretty stumpy hands. I don't know.
Okay. That's okay. I have faith in you.
All right, you have a deal.
So, Sandy, are you ready?
Well, as ready as I'm ever going to be, I suppose.
You're in the right spot,
All right.
Where it all began.
All right.
So I want you to take one of the colors. What would be your favorite color? The blue. Okay. So take a good long piece because you know it takes a lot of wool to go. So you have your loop, okay? You have your hook. You put the nail part, the hook part, in one of the holes. Right. You put your left hand underneath. It's a matter of coordination, Sandy. It's like dancing. So you take it up, the loop, and up.
Oh, I
see,
almost got it.
you saw it. It almost came up. See the patience?
And then
okay.
pull it.
Pull it. Wait, so make the tail. Right.
There we go.
Okay, that's it. But, yeah, okay, so now you go to the next hole, and you put, that's it. Then with your left hand, underneath, you take the yarn, and you go around the hook and up. In, around the hook, and up.
Oh, this one's broken too.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, you did a good try here. Like, it took me 6 years to learn this. So we're not going to do this in 5 minutes. I'm really proud of you. You tried it.
I want to thank you, Betty Ann, and I must say, having seen Madame Lafault, all that, and 11 months to do one, for me to do this, it'd be an eon, it'd be an eternity for me to do this. But I'd like to thank you for this.
You're welcome.
And I wish you and all the rug hookers in Cheticamp and your group all the best of luck. And I hope people, when they do come, they appreciate what they see, and more importantly, they take some of it home.
Oh, definitely. Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome. Well, Jacqueline, we're here in the rug section of Les Trois Pignons Museum. And I must say, it's very impressive the amount of work that must have gone into creating these. So perhaps you can tell me about who did them and the process in creating them.
When you first come in, the first room are locally made, so men and ladies in the village. But the 3 last rooms, the 32 last pieces, are made by Elizabeth Lefort. But they're all handmade. You have to draw your design on the burlap. So you would start with just a black marker, with just an outline, your black outline on the burlap. Then you have to dye all the wool yourself. So if you need 400 different shades of colors, you have to dye 400 different shades of colors. So you have to go in every hole, 144 holes per square inch, so you're not supposed to miss a hole.
Now, back when this started, which was quite a while ago,
Yes.
I imagine, did they use synthetic dyes or was it natural dyes?
It was natural dye, so any fruits and vegetables, and they were really nice. Like the one at first in our museum are natural dyes. They're much paler, but you were limited in your shadings. And that's why they started using commercial dyes, because they would last longer. They were more vivid, but you were unlimited in your shading. So if you needed 400 shade, you could get 400 shade, and it makes a difference.
Now these, they were predominantly women who did it, right?
Yes, but
Now-
women, men, and even kids at one point.
They would also not only know how to do this, but they'd also how to know what type of plants that they could make the dyes from. Like I understand, for example, yellow would come from onion peels
Yes,
and onion skins.
yeah.
Now the other colors, they would also have to be aware in the gardens of what was available locally, what
Yeah.
they could use to make natural
Yeah,
dyes.
that's it. Yeah, and some were really good at that. And it's like dyeing. Like some ladies in the village, you can hook a rug. Myself, I can hook a rug, but I can't dye, I can't draw, because you have to draw your design. So you have to be an artist. You have to dye the wool, and then you have to hook the rug. So, you know, to have the 3 talent, it was quite the thing. And some ladies in the village had the 3 talents.
And this would have been knowledge or lore that would have been passed down from generation to generation.
Yes, yeah.
Nothing was written down?
Well, maybe like natural dyes, certain recipe probably were written down, but like the talent part, the drawing, to be an artist, I always say you either have it or you don't. And Madame Elizabeth Lefort was one who certainly had it.
So she was not only a rug hooker, but she was also an artist. So she actually did the drawings for the template that she would
Yeah.
use for the rug.
Now and I always say she could have painted, which would have been a lot simpler than a hooked rug. A painting you stroke with paint. Hooked rug, you have to draw the design with just a black marker, but then you have to hook the rug. And if you think on a piece of burlap, everything is square. So if you want to make the roundness of thing, you have to go in your hole a couple of times or a line to push the wool to make the curve, because everything would be square, because burlap is square. So that's another thing.
I'm looking at this, and I'm familiar with some of the patterns. I've seen them before. And, for example, some of these, how long would it take to make one of these?
Well, the one behind me, the crucifixion, took 11 months. And there's 510 shades of colors. So it means she had to draw the design, but dye 510 colors. And on a frame, you're always rolling. So that's another thing. A painting, you have your canvas in front of you all the time, the whole canvas. With hooking, you only see so much at a time. So you have to put the piece of burlap on the floor, draw your design with a black marker, put it on the frame, and roll it. And when you start hooking it, you unroll a little bit and hook. So you only see so much at a time. And you're only going to see your whole piece once it's done. You're going to lay it on the floor, and I always say you're going to cross your fingers.
So she would have learned this from her mother?
Her mother probably, thinking, well, no, she's going to hook rugs, but they saw that she had a special
You're saying
gift.
that rug took 11 months, and it's 8 hours a day,
Yeah,
40 hours a week?
Yeah, probably like a regular job. They said that's how she would hook. She never worked on Sundays, probably too religious to work on Sundays. But for her, it was just a regular job.
So that explains why, if you were going to buy one of these, just how expensive they would be.
And especially, she was one of the few who would sign her work. Every rug has that Ile Fort at the bottom of the rug. So if you had a rug now with that Ile Fort, it'd be quite the rug to have, because these are really unique and one of a kind.
Now, it's still being done here, and it's being sold to visitors who come, yes?
Yes, yeah. We have 3 gift shops in the village, but they're shipped all over the world, too.
That'd be a wonderful thing to keep the tradition. But I do notice, like, for example, the theme tends to be religious.
Yes, yeah. Lots of, but at one point, there was lots of flowers. But now they do everything, scenery, design. But I remember my mother hooked, and she did flowers. That's it. That's the only thing she did.
You were telling me, how artistic she was. Now, as I look through the gallery, I'm seeing some of the rugs. For example, there's a montage, I suppose, of American presidents. Mm-hmm. I mean, how good she really was at it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was the only one who did famous faces, which is really, really hard to do. If you're off with the nose or the mouth or the eyes, it's not going to look like that person. So she's the only one who did, but she could do anything. Sceneries, design, flowers. And we're up to 31 pieces, I do believe. And we're always adding. When she retired, she sold the ones that were left over. Supposedly, I think she did over 400 pieces. So we bought, I think, 24 at a very, very good price. But she knew where they were coming to. And every day we praise Elizabeth Lefort. It's our joy to praise her. And we're always talking about her. But we're always adding. So people donate almost every year, and we're always adding, and we're always so glad to add to our collection.
So all these rugs that we see, you purchased them from Madame Lefort?
Yeah, and from Madame Lefort, and then we're adding. We're always adding. And lots of ladies in the village, they won't sign their work because they think, oh, it's just a hooked rug. We were raised and born with the hooked rugs because we were poor and we didn't have a choice. But my God, some were like real artists, but just a hook.
That's a pity because, when it does survive, you want to know who did it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
And something like this, as we were saying earlier, the artistic bent that you have to have, the patience, and knowing, well, this will make my dye, this will do this and do that. You should sign your name to that. You should be proud of it.
Yeah, but most of them don't because, like I said, it's just a hook. Why would I sign that?
Well, maybe you can change their minds.
Maybe.
Don't give up.
Yes, I'm going to try.